Yellowstone's new generation of Duttons make up for John's worst failure. Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 proves that the next generation of Duttons is making up for John Dutton IE's shortcomings as a father. Kevin Costner's John Dutton IE risked everything to protect his family's legacy, including ensuring his kids would help protect it. John urges Jamie to become a lawyer, and he expects Case, Luke Grimes, to take over as livestock commissioner and run the ranch when his youngest son returns. John even told Beth, Kelly Riley, what was what when he was alive, her father being the only person Beth would take orders from. As Yellowstone Season 5 reveals John Dutton's divisive fate, the next generation of the Dutton family tree, Beth and Case, step into their father's shoes as the series leads, including running the ranch. The siblings are entrenched in a battle for the land, pitted against their adopted brother, Wes Bentley's Jamie. As the sixth generation of Duttons position themselves where many of their ancestors have been before, at the helm of their family's ranch, the returning Yellowstone Season 5 characters are doing things differently. Beth and Case are better parents to their children than John Dutton was to them, and it will set up the next generation of Dutton ranchers to take over successfully. If the family keeps the ranch, Tate, Breck and Merrill will inherit the largest ranch in Montana. Still, the seventh generation Dutton is hesitant to take over, and Case makes it clear in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 10, that he will support his son's decision regardless. Case tells Tate his primary concern is that his son does what he loves, and the father notes that he never had a fulfilling job. The moment shows how Case is evolving from his father's mistakes, allowing his son to speak for his own future. Episode 10 leaves Tate's decision ambiguous, but if he decides to run the Yellowstone, the proud father can rest assured that it's what his son wants. Case has said from the very beginning that if he was going to run the ranch, he wanted to do things differently, and he has. John's youngest son is moving forward into the present with intention, especially after Case's visions in Yellowstone Season 4 gave him insight into his family's future. Beth and Rip Kohlhauser also set Carter, Finn Little, up for success despite their growing pains while becoming a family. Rip comforts Carter in the apocalypse of change, telling him that he'll always have a home at the ranch. While Carter has fewer options than Tate as he grows into an adult, he has the support of his adoptive family. Especially with the support of their parents, Tate and Carter are the perfect duo to inherit the ranch. Owning the Yellowstone Ranch means protecting it. Historically, the Duttons have needed more than one person to accomplish that. For now, Rip, Beth, and Case can work together to manage the ranch, but they're also setting up its future by supporting the next generation to take over. Tate and Carter can continue to get closer in Yellowstone Season 5 as they grieve the loss of their grandfather, and they can bond over their shared desire to preserve the Dutton family legacy. The Dutton legacy has always been built on blood, sweat, and sacrifice. For generations, they fought to hold on to the Yellowstone Ranch, battling encroaching developers, greedy politicians, and even their own inner demons. But no leader is perfect, and John Dutton's greatest failure, the one that nearly cost them everything, was not an enemy from the outside. It was his own stubbornness, his refusal to change. Now, a new generation of Duttons is rising to correct his mistakes, ensuring the ranch's survival in ways John never could. The weight of the past. John Dutton has long prided himself on protecting Yellowstone with an iron fist, but his failure lay in his inability to adapt. He believed that tradition alone could shield the land from modern threats. He held his children to impossible standards, pushing them away when they didn't fall in line. His most critical mistake: failing to properly prepare the next generation for leadership, instead holding on to power until it was nearly too late. His decisions led to rifts within the family, most notably with Case, who repeatedly tried to forge his own path. Beth, his most loyal child, took up arms to defend Yellowstone, but her approach often burned as many bridges as it built. And Jamie, well, Jamie was never truly given a chance to belong. By the time John realized he needed to focus on the future, the ranch was in more peril than ever. The rise of the next generation. But now the tides are turning. The younger generation of Duttons, raised under the shadow of John's mistakes, are proving to be the key to securing Yellowstone's future. They've learned from the past, taking the best of their predecessors while rejecting the stubbornness that nearly destroyed them. Tate Dutton, the bridge between two worlds. Tate, Case and Monica's son, represents the best chance for the Dutton legacy to continue. Unlike his grandfather, he understands both his family's heritage and the importance of working with the Broken Rock Reservation. Raised with the values of both the Duttons and his mother's people, Tate is uniquely positioned to bridge the divide that John spent a lifetime widening. Rather than relying on brute force to maintain the land, Tate is learning how to navigate political and cultural landscapes. He's smart, observant, and more open-minded than any Dutton before him. While John fought against the reservation's interests, Tate is forging bonds that could protect Yellowstone in ways guns and power plays never could. Carter, a fighter forged in fire. Carter, the young boy Beth and Rip reluctantly took in, embodies resilience. He didn't grow up with privilege. He had to fight for every scrap of survival. In many ways, Carter is the Dutton's second chance at raising a strong, loyal son, one who isn't weighed down by past expectations. Unlike Jamie, who was crushed under the burden of being shaped into something he wasn't, Carter is being molded into a cowboy the right way. Rip, who learned firsthand how John's leadership could be both a blessing and a curse, is raising Carter with tough love, but not the cold, distant kind that once fractured the Dutton family. Carter has heart, grit, and the potential to be the kind of leader Yellowstone truly needs. One who understands loyalty, but doesn't let it blind him. Haley, a Dutton by choice, not by birth. A new figure emerging in the family is Haley, a ranch hand who's proving herself as valuable as any Dutton born here. She may not carry the bloodline, but she carries the spirit of Yellowstone. Where John saw outsiders as threats, the new generation sees them as opportunities. Haley's fresh perspective and willingness to challenge old traditions are exactly what the ranch needs to evolve. Breaking the cycle. What makes this new generation different isn't just their youth. It's their willingness to break free from John's worst habits. Where John ruled with fear and control, they lead with strategy and adaptability. Where John saw only enemies and allies, they see nuances and the power of negotiation. Case, who once struggled with his place between his father's world and Monica's, is finally finding a way to embrace both. His leadership is softer but no less effective. He's teaching Tate to be strong, but also to listen, a skill John never mastered. Beth, despite her harsh edges, is learning to mentor Carter in ways John never did for Jamie. She's realized that protecting the ranch doesn't always mean going to war. It sometimes means building alliances. Rip, raised in John's brutal version of love, is ensuring that Carter doesn't just grow into a strong cowboy, but a good man. He's taking the best of John's lessons and discarding the rest. A future John could never have imagined. Yellowstone's survival no longer depends on outdated tactics and last-ditch battles. The new Duttons are securing its future with diplomacy, calculated risks, and a more inclusive vision. Tate's connection to the reservation could be the key to keeping the land in the family. Carter's underdog tenacity proves that the Dutton spirit isn't confined to blood. And new allies like Haley show that the ranch doesn't have to be an isolated fortress. it can evolve and thrive. John Dutton's greatest failure was believing that the ranch could only be saved by clinging to the past. But the next generation is proving that its future lies in embracing change. The Yellowstone Ranch will endure, not because of John's stubbornness, but because his heirs have finally learned to let go of his worst mistakes while carrying forward his best qualities. In the end, the new generation of Duttons is not just making up for John's failures. They are ensuring that Yellowstone will stand long after he's gone, stronger and wiser than ever before.